Welcome to Empower Solano, where growth happens. My name is Kay Patrice Williams. Welcome to the Safe Solano Disaster Preparedness Virtual Town Hall. Empower Solano, along with our sponsors, CVNL and Listos, California, want you and your family to be ready for any situation that may come your way. There are 5 steps to be disaster ready. 1, set an alert, Nixle or Alert Solano. 2, make a plan to protect you and your loved ones. 3, make a go bag with all your important documents. 4, make a stayed box. 5, be ready to help others, including your neighbors. Thank you for watching. Stand by for this amazing virtual hall. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Safe Solano. We are so excited to be here. I am so excited to introduce our next guest, Claire Margison. Hello, Claire.
Hello, it's great to be here.
Claire is with United Way. I want the United Way Bay Area, and I want to do to give her all her flowers by really letting you know a little bit about her through her bio, which is pretty profound. So give me a minute. Let's talk your bio, and then we'll jump right into your presentation. So here we are, Claire Margison. Claire joined United Way Bay Area in March 2022 with over a decade of experience in nonprofit management. In her current role, she oversees the 211 program in 6 counties throughout the Bay Area. Prior to this, she worked as an employment development manager for the International Rescue Committee in Sacramento, where she led a 13-person team in assisting newly arrived refugees and asylees in securing employment. Claire also brings a wealth of United Way experience to her current role. She worked as the program outreach manager for United Ways of California and supported California 211 operating partnership, which consists of 211 programs throughout the state. She also served as community impact director for the United Way Monterey County, where she led the 211 program and the Impact Monterey County Network for 3 years. Before joining the United Way Network, she worked in Oregon, Tanzania, and Laos. Am I saying that right? Laos?
Yep, Laos.
Laos, supporting education projects with the International Youth Foundation, Sustainable Laos Education Initiatives, and the Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization. Claire is proud to have dedicated her professional life in working on changing systems so that they could be more equitable, inclusive, and compassionate for all people. She holds a BAs in Latin American Studies, Music Performance, and from Portland State University, and a master's in public administration from the Middlebury Institute of International Studies. When Claire isn't working, you can find her running or relaxing with her dogs and partner. Claire, your bio gives me chills.
Well, thank you. It's a very nice introduction.
Oh, thank you for all that you do. I was so glad to know that you were coming because we all know, I think we all know about 211, and it's made such a huge splash in the community. So to have you come on to representing this program and talking about it just meant the world. So I'm appreciative that you're here.
I'm honored to be here.
Well, we're ready. We're ready for your presentation.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you for that warm introduction. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Are you seeing a presentation?
Yes, it looks beautiful. It looks good.
Okay, great. Well, it's like I said, it's really an honor to be here. We've got so many great panelists here today, and one of my favorite things to talk about is 211 and of course emergency preparedness, response, and recovery. So today I'm going to start just giving you a brief overview of what is 211. Most of you maybe know about it, but just in case this is your first time learning about it, we're a free service, and our bread and butter is connecting folks to free or low cost services in their area. So all health and human services imaginable that are free or low cost, we want to make sure that community members know about them and how to access them. All of our calls and services are confidential, and we're available 24/7. So 211 can be accessed any day of the week at any time. And we have support in over 200 languages. So if English is not your primary language, or you prefer services in other languages, that's definitely something 211 can support with. And then I like to share this. So why 211 in United Way? If you look throughout the United States, 211s are operated by United Ways in about 70% of the cases. So there are other entities that operate 211, but in most cases it is run by a United Way. And one reason this partnership has worked out so well is this is aligned perfectly with United Way's mission, right? We are here to help link services and grow partnerships and connect our community members to relevant and helpful information and resources. We are always trying to learn from community needs and help advocate at the local, state, and federal level. And United Way plays a really critical role in disaster response and preparedness, whether that's in partnering with community foundations and setting up fundraising, whether that's supporting with volunteer management, or whether that's actually fielding calls via our 211 center. So how does it work? Anyone can call us. You can just pick up your phone and dial the number 211, and wherever you're located, you'll get routed to the closest call center. So if you're in Solano, you'll get connected to our 211 Solano folks. You can also visit our website, which is 211bayarea.org, and I'll show you that later. And then you can also text. We do have, right now it's just in English and Spanish, but if you text your zip code to 898211, you'll get connected with a live call specialist that will respond to you in real time. So that is another option. And then I'll talk about this too in a little bit, but we also have some cool keywords. So if you try texting the word benefits, for example, to 211-211, you'll get information about, how to sign up for CalFresh or re-enroll in Medi-Cal or other benefits that are available to folks in the state of California. So I mentioned this before, but 211 is available all throughout the state and the world. So these are some websites if you want to find out where other 211s are located. In the Bay Area, there are actually multiple 211s. So we at United Way Bay Area, we run 211 in 6 counties. And I'll just show you our website so you can see. The ones in orange, Marin, Napa, Solano, San Francisco, San Mateo, and Santa Clara. That's where United Way Bay Area runs 211. And then in Alameda and Contra Costa, 211 is run by a different agency, as well as up here in Sonoma. All right, let me stop sharing that. Great, so why and how 211 in an emergency, right? That's what we're here to talk about, emergency response and preparedness. So the fact that we're already available 24/7 is a huge help during any kind of disaster or crisis, because as long as we have the right information, we can field those calls and make sure we're getting information out to our community. We are, in blue sky times, we're already building partnerships and trust with other community-based organizations and partners and making sure that we have the most up-to-date information. In addition, we've got a really extensive database of all of the free and low-cost health and human services. So even if those aren't necessary in a crisis, those will come in handy with long-term recovery or in preparedness for future disasters or possible disasters. We also partner really closely with our offices of emergency services and the 911 dispatch centers, because the last thing we want is for people, crowding up the 911 phone lines. If there's for something that's not an emergency, where 211 could actually play a role in supporting or helping get information out. And then we collect information about our callers, right? We know what zip code they're calling from. Callers, if they want, it's up to them, but they can share information about their demographics, what they're looking for, what they need, and then we can use that data to actually inform disaster response. So we can say, hey, we got X number of calls from this zip code looking for an evacuation route. Are we giving them the right information, or do we need to coordinate resources or other things to help respond to that need? So that's a really important way that we can support with emergency response. This is just more detailed or specific roles that we play. So folks often, they just need to know, like, where can I get food or water or meet my other basic needs? So that's a great thing that 211 can help with, right? We'll have the information. You can call us or text us and we can get that to you. I mentioned evacuation routes earlier. We work really closely with Solano OES to make sure that we are sharing the same information that they are about evacuation zones and routes. And this also goes to public health emergencies. During the early days of COVID, we were helping folks navigate the ever-changing rules and regulations around masks or stay-at-home ordinances, or where can I get a vaccine, all of that, and even in some cases helping them set a vaccine appointment over the phone. Another thing we do is help with warm handoffs to crisis hotlines. So if someone calls us, but they actually really need to be talking to a mental health professional, we can transfer them to 988 or another hotline, but do that by staying on the phone with them and not putting them on hold, to make sure they always have someone there listening and supporting. Yeah, I won't read all of these, but another one on the screen is mutual assistance. The 211 network, we're super close knit. So I mentioned where we are in the Bay Area, but there are call centers throughout the country, and we all help each other out during disasters. So our call center right now, they're actually supporting Maui with recovery. So folks that were victims of the wildfire or were impacted, they can call 211, and if it's something we can support with, we'll help refer them to resources. And then with all of our, we're helping all of our SoCal counties with Hurricane Hillary and making sure folks can access sandbags or other preparedness things they need to weather this storm that we're seeing in our own state. The other thing I mentioned earlier, 211 texting campaigns. So this is just a cool feature. We can quickly create short keywords. So you can text a word to 211 to get specific information. So we've done this, for specific fires or earthquakes or floods. If it's helpful to the local OES to have a special keyword that folks can text in, we can activate that. So now I'm going to pivot and talk a little bit about disaster preparedness and two of our key projects here, if you're interested in getting involved with those. So one is earthquake preparedness. We know we're really overdue for a big earthquake. So we've been partnering with Cal OES as well as UC Berkeley on making sure folks know how to stay prepared for an earthquake, and then also how to download the MyShake app, which is a great early warning app that can help give people a few extra seconds to prepare for an earthquake, and also helps us with citizen science so we can learn from earthquakes. So anyone can text the word earthquake to 2111, 211. You can also text the word terremoto to get Spanish information, and you'll see all kinds of info about the MyShake app and how to download it. Another thing we're really working on, especially up here in Solano and the North Bay, is making sure folks are prepared for power outages. So anyone that calls 211, we are screening them to make sure that they have what they need to in the event of a power outage. And if they don't, how can we offer care coordination and extra support and services so that they have what they need. So we have a special focus on anyone with access and functional needs, and all kinds of referrals and resources to care coordination, as well as things like backup batteries or alternative power sources. especially for folks that are maybe using a life support machine or a CPAP or others. We want to make sure that they have their emergency plan in place. And I don't think I mentioned, but this is a partnership actually with PG&E, this specific project. Okay, and then some quick things with emergency response. I kind of touched on this all, but I mean, you're going to hear from so many great partners in Solano County today, and I just want to really iterate how important these partnerships are. And for us at 211, it's really like what happens within the EOC or the Emergency Operations Center and their public information officer, and then how the information from there flows to our local VOAD, which is the Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. I know it's so many acronyms. And then 211. So we kind of all work together to make sure that whatever our partners at the Office of Emergency Services want us to share out, that we at 211 are getting that information out to our community, and then all of our amazing organizations and coalitions on the ground that are linked in through the VOAD, that they also have the information that they need to support their community, and that the information flows both ways, right? We're able to then feed that back into the Emergency Operations Center. So this is just a very simplified diagram of what that looks like. This is something I just want to make sure everyone knows is available. This is publicly available on our website. So I mentioned this before, we've got really amazing data at 211. And so you can go to our UWBA website here, and we can make this link available after the presentation as well. And you can actually learn, what are people calling us about? What are they needing, whether it's in a specific zip code or city. Here on the screen, you can see kind of our program. This is our overview. So you can see the different, calls we've received in the past since January 2023. I can filter this to just look at Solano County. And then maybe I'll scroll this back to give us a larger timeline. Sorry, it's going a little slow right now. Scroll back a couple of years. So you can see, the number of calls, and then go through and look at specific geography, right? Which cities are folks calling from, as well as which zip codes, and you can scroll in on any of this, and then also look at the demographics of the folks that are calling us. So, and again, this is all optional information. No one is required to share any of this when they call 211 or visit our website. But if folks are willing, we do collect this because it helps us really learn from what community members are asking for or sharing with us. So I won't go through all of this because there's a lot here, but please feel free to look at this, share this with your networks. And if 211 data can ever be helpful to you, you can absolutely get in touch with me. Great. And then I'll share here, these are just resources available on our website. I mentioned that, how much we rely on partners when it comes to emergency response. And the same thing is we rely on partners when it comes to keeping our community resource database updated and accurate. All that information, it comes from you all and the organizations in Solano County. So it's really easy to update any information in our database. And anyone could, you can email me if you need help with it. You can also do it on your own through our website. There's videos on the website, and actually I can show you that. So I'll go in here where it says for service providers. There's information here in a video for how to update. We also do a lot of emails and phone calls to our partners to ask them questions about their resource data. So it just takes a matter of seconds, and to stay in our database, all information does need to be updated a minimum once a year. We try to do it quarterly just to make sure it's as accurate as possible. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to share with you. Again, my name's Claire. I've got my contact info up on the screen. Always happy to chat via Zoom or Teams or on the phone, or you can always send me an email as well. So thank you so much for your interest in 211 and your partnership. And I will throw it back to you, Patrice.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, and then some quick things with emergency response. I kind of touched on this all, but I mean, you're going to hear from so many great partners in Solano County today, and I just want to really iterate how important these partnerships are. And for us at 211, it's really like what happens within the EOC or the Emergency Operations Center and their public information officer, and then how the information from there flows to our local VOAD, which is the Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. I know it's so many acronyms. And then 211. So we kind of all work together to make sure that whatever our partners at the Office of Emergency Services want us to share out, that we at 211 are getting that information out to our community, and then all of our amazing organizations and coalitions on the ground that are linked in through the VOAD, that they also have the information that they need to support their community, and that the information flows both ways, right? We're able to then feed that back into the Emergency Operations Center. So this is just a very simplified diagram of what that looks like. This is something I just want to make sure everyone knows is available. This is publicly available on our website. So I mentioned this before, we've got really amazing data at 211. And so you can go to our UWBA website here, and we can make this link available after the presentation as well. And you can actually learn, what are people calling us about? What are they needing, whether it's in a specific zip code or city. Here on the screen, you can see kind of our program. This is our overview. So you can see the different, calls we've received in the past since January 2023. I can filter this to just look at Solano County. And then maybe I'll scroll this back to give us a larger timeline. All right, it's going a little slow right now. Scroll back a couple of years. So you can see, the number of calls, and then go through and look at specific geography, right? Which cities are folks calling from, as well as which zip codes, and you can scroll in on any of this, and then also look at the demographics of the folks that are calling us. So, and again, this is all optional information. No one is required to share any of this when they call 211 or visit our website. But if folks are willing, we do collect this because it helps us really learn from what community members are asking for or sharing with us. So I won't go through all of this because there's a lot here, but please feel free to look at this, share this with your networks. And if 211 data can ever be helpful to you, you can absolutely get in touch with me. Great. And then I'll share here, these are just resources available on our website. I mentioned that, how much we rely on partners when it comes to emergency response. And the same thing is we rely on partners when it comes to keeping our community resource database updated and accurate. All that information, it comes from you all and the organizations in Solano County. So it's really easy to update any information in our database. And anyone could, you can email me if you need help with it. You can also do it on your own through our website. There's videos on the website, and actually I can show you that real quickly. Oops, sorry. 211 Bay Area, that part. So I'll go in here where it says for service providers. There's information here and a video for how to update. We also do a lot of emails and phone calls to our partners to ask them questions about their resource data. This is something I just want to make sure everyone knows is available. This is publicly available on our website. So I mentioned this before, we've got really amazing data at 211. And so you can go to our UWBA website here, and we can make this link available after the presentation as well. And you can actually learn, what are people calling us about? What are they needing, whether it's in a specific zip code or city? Here on the screen, you can see kind of our program. This is our overview. So you can see the different, calls we've received in the past since January 2023. I can filter this to just look at Solano County. And then maybe I'll scroll this back to give us a larger timeline. All right, it's going a little slow right now. Scroll back a couple of years. So you can see, the number of calls, and then go through and look at specific geography, right? Which cities are folks calling from, as well as which zip codes, and you can scroll in on any of this. And then also look at the demographics of the folks that are calling us. So, and again, this is all optional information. No one is required to share any of this. Pretty much all I wanted to share with you. Again, my name's Claire. I've got my contact info up on the screen. Always happy to chat via Zoom or Teams or on the phone, or you can always send me an email as well. So thank you so much for your interest in 211 and your partnership. And I will throw it back to you, Patrice.
First of all, I thought I knew all about 211, only to find out I didn't. I learned so much just watching your presentation. I knew you all as a connector surrounding public health support, and knew you as a resource guide for food, water, basic needs. So did not know about the evacuation. And I thought that mapping that really detailed everything you did was pretty amazing. And then everything else you answered, and I have pages of notes surrounding your name, and you managed to answer all those questions, including, if you're not in this directory and should be, what do you do? How many calls do you get to Solano County? Is it broken up by demographics? Is it broken out by city? You just answered every one. And also what I also love is that I knew you all as only a phone call 211. I just found out that you're web and text. I didn't know that either. Yeah. Well, this has been thrilling. Is there anything, I mean, I just feel like you gave us the full shebang, but is there anything else that you want to share with us?
I don't think so at this time. Yeah, I'm just happy to be part of this amazing network in Solano County, and yeah, I look forward to partnering and learning more together.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you again, and we will see you at another time. Thank you for joining Safe Solano.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Well, hello, this is Kay Patrice Williams. Welcome back to Safe Solano. I get to talk to someone today that we haven't spoken in a few years, Robin.
It has been a while, yes.
The last time we spoke, you were featured in our emergency preparedness Heroes of Solano. So not only were you a hero of Solano a few years ago, but even more so now. And folks will know in a few minutes when I read your bio, because I want them to know all about you. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Wonderful. Robin Rains was selected as Emergency Service Manager in February 2023. Robin oversees the county's emergency management program and the Sheriff's Office Emergency Communication Center. Robin graduated in 2005 from the University of California, Santa Cruz, with a BA in sociology and began her career with the Solano County Sheriff's Office in 2006. As an entry-level dispatcher, she spent 11 and a half years in dispatch, moving through the ranks to become the dispatch center manager. In 2018, she was promoted to assistant emergency services manager and joined the Office of Emergency Services team. Since that time, she has worked through the numerous disasters and emergencies, including public safety power shutoffs, civil unrest, the COVID-19 pandemic, the LNU lightning complex fire, and multiple flood events. So just like when I read your bio a few years ago, Robin, I'm just proud and happy to have you a part of Solano OES. Like the power to have someone that has started from an entry level and has touched so many areas, so many positions, to have you as the leader, like it's awesome.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. And I have had a really, really great career. I've been very lucky to be able to serve the community for so long. And I'm excited to take on the new challenge. I haven't been the emergency services manager for very long, but I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, when I heard that you got the promotion, I was like,
my mom was also doing that.
Well, good. That means they know great talent. So with that, what would you like to present on today?
I am going to share my screen. What we do in OES, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay. And we're just going to give a little overview of OES and then a little touch of disaster preparedness information.
Wonderful.
So on the screen here, you just have an overview of some of the amazing leaders I have in my organization. So Tina De Leon just joined. She took over for me as the new Assistant Emergency Services Manager. We're very excited to have her, and a lot of our partners are going to start working with her a lot more closely. We do have a sergeant assigned from the Sheriff's Office to our bureau, Sergeant Christine Castillo. She oversees our volunteer programs and all of our equipment and our technicians, and makes sure that everything that we have and need is maintained in a readiness status all the time. And then my position, I still actually oversee the dispatch center. So the dispatch center manager for the Sheriff's Office is Jennifer Catile, and she falls under me as well. So the Office of Emergency Services is set up and broken into 3 different divisions. So we do emergency management, we have emergency operations, and then we have the emergency communications. So the emergency management is that disaster planning, preparedness, response, recovery type work, grants. We have grant programs. And then our operations, those are our technicians. They make sure all of our stuff that we need to respond is always working and always ready, so that we're ready at a moment's notice. And then of course we have the communications center. And then overall, the Office of Emergency Services is set up as a division of the Sheriff's Office, actually according to county code. So during a disaster, the county administrator is the Director of Emergency Services, but our day-to-day operations falls under the Sheriff's Office. And the role of our office is always to prepare for, mitigate against, respond to, and recover from emergencies and disasters that happen anywhere within the bounds of Solano County. And we do that so that we can do protection of life, property, and the environment. So we're going to get into how it is you can be ready. And I'm so excited for this presentation because, as you all know, September every month or every year, September is designated as National Preparedness Month. So I always get to talk about having a plan and building a kit, which is some of my most exciting things that I talk to about ad nauseum, probably for most of the people in my life. So it's important to make sure that you have a plan, because whatever we're doing to plan in advance is going to make it so much easier when we enter into recovery following an emergency or disaster. No matter the size of the emergency or the disaster, the more you plan and prepare today, the easier that's going to be for you on the back end. So we want you to have an emergency plan, and you need to take certain things into consideration when you're writing that plan. A lot of us are working parents, so we need to be aware of what happens in this plan if we're not at home. Do your children know what to do? Do you care for elderly family members, maybe your parents? Do they know what to do? And do you have animals? Do you have pets? Do you have large animals? There's a lot of livestock in Solano County. What's your plan for that, and how are you going to address it? And make sure that that's in the plan, and then make sure that you exercise your plan so that those people that you care for also know what to do, especially if you're not home when it happens. And then also, as you know, so many people commute out of Solano County. So it's possible that you could be a couple of hours away. So it's really, really critical that your family know what to do in the event of a disaster if you can't get home right away or at all, especially if you cross maybe a bridge or something else that can be impacted in like an earthquake scenario. We're not going to let anybody over a bridge until that bridge has been cleared as safe to cross. So that can really, really impact how long it may take you to get home if you don't work in this area. So along with that, you need to have an emergency kit. And normally I just say an emergency kit, and today I'm going to go a little deeper because I want you to have at least two. I want you to have a go bag, and that's something that you take with you all of the time. You can put it in a backpack or a duffel bag, something that's easy to carry. And then also I want you to have a kit in your home in case you need shelter in place. So a lot of times there can be stuff that comes up that you don't have to evacuate, but you can't leave your home. And so you have a lot more resources at your home that you have more space, you can store more things and be ready to shelter in place, and more than just what you have in your go bag. But please make sure you take that bag with you. It is not a useful emergency kit if you do not have it with you during an emergency. So I always take mine with me. It's always in my car and goes with me everywhere I go. Lastly, we need you to sign up for alerts, because if you have to take protective action for yourself or your family, you're going to find out about that in a number of different ways, but one of those ways is through Alert Solano. So go ahead and go to alertsolano.com and sign up to receive emergency alerts. If you've already signed up for emergency alerts, log in and make sure that all of the information we have for you is still accurate. Double check your settings. You can set it up to notify you in a number of different ways. You can get text messages, you can get emails, you can get phone calls. And sometimes people don't realize they've opted out of some of those things. So we want you to make sure that you log in at least once a year and review all the settings and make sure that they're still accurate for you and the way that your family's set up and the needs that you have. You can also register to receive those alerts from multiple locations. For example, I receive emergency alerts for all of my family members. I'm signed up for my parents' house, my grandmother's house, my sister's houses. I want to know if alerts are going out where they may be impacted, because I can try and support them however it is that they may need, depending upon what that emergency is. There's also Nixle alerts. Those are going to be by text message only, and those are messages that are sent to an entire zip code. But you can register for those by texting the zip code that you want to follow to 888-777. You can text as many zip codes as you want. And it's easy to opt out if you start getting overloaded with messages that you don't want. So again, I follow a number of zip codes on Nixle alerts, pretty much every zip code in Solano County. And then I have friends and family in Napa. And then, as you know, a lot of our large fires come over from Napa. So I personally want to know what's happening in the zip codes that are impacting Solano County or may impact Solano County. So I follow theirs as well. And also new to our program is emergency evacuation zones. So we worked with all of our first responders to break Solano County down into emergency evacuation zones so that we can more quickly send you those emergency notifications if we need you to evacuate. So make sure you find out what your emergency evacuation zone is, write it down, put it somewhere safe that you're going to see it. We have it on my house. It's on the refrigerator. It's also on my front door. I have a magnet stuck to my front door, and it has my emergency evacuation zone on it. So not only do I have that immediately available to me, but my daughter has that immediately available to her if she doesn't remember what it is. Okay. So how do you do those things? Go to emergency.solanocounty.com. This is a new resource that we're creating for the community that we're going to use to provide information during a disaster. And it also has all of that preparedness links. Can you see a website that says Solano County Public Emergency Portal? Great. So up here where it says no current emergencies, if something is happening that we need you to be aware of, we're going to put information in here. You can use this box. You can search for any kind of information that you would want. But if we just scroll down here, there's a number of quick links as well as social media. I don't want to scroll too quickly and make anybody nauseous. If we go under public resources right here, you're going to get a host of different links. And just from the previous presentation that I watched, I know we need to add 211 on here as another link. But on here, you can click here. You can find your evacuation zone by clicking on this link here and typing in your address. It knows my GPS, so as soon as it loads, it's going to pull. This is the evacuation zone I'm in currently right now in my office, and it's in a normal status. So if there were evacuation warning or an evacuation order, it would show here. It would also be colored on this map. Okay, you can click here to get to alertsolano.com so that you can log in and register and check your settings if you're already registered. You can also get to other different useful things from this site. So if you click on recent alerts, there's just going to be an ongoing list of all the recent alerts that have been sent out. So if you're curious if something's gone out, you can see those alerts here. That comes up a lot when people are seeing online or on the Alert Solano social media that there's maybe an alert that went out and they didn't get it and they want to know what's going on. And it's important to remember that we are only going to send emergency notifications to people that we need to take protective action for themselves. That means we need you to shelter in place. We need you to evacuate. That's going to be an evacuation order, or you might receive an evacuation warning. But we're only going to send that information to the people that need to take that action. If you want that information for your situational awareness, or you're seeing smoke and you're getting concerned, we want you to follow us on our Facebook page, because we put a lot of information on there that you can go to and just follow and get, general public information on incidents that are happening where you aren't being specifically requested to take that action for yourself. For all of your preparedness needs, for building that kit and writing that plan, if you go to our disaster preparedness page, then there is a list of different resources to help you build out that plan, let you know what should be in that kit, also broken down by disaster type. There's a number of really great resources that already exist from some of our amazing either government partners or nonprofit partners. So we didn't want to recreate the wheel on a lot of this stuff. So we have links here to really great resources that already exists. You can plan for your animals, planning for folks with disabilities or seniors. Just a lot of really great resources here. On every page you see for us is going to show you how to sign up for Alert Solano. And then our FireWise and FireSafe community resources also are on these pages here for you. One of the things I want to highlight that has become really useful and handy for a lot of our community members are these cameras. So we partnered just by linking here with this Alert California cameras, and you can see all the cameras that are in this area. So if you start seeing smoke, we'll just pop in here and we'll start looking at cameras, seeing what we can see out here. But this is a publicly available resource, and you can pop in and see any cameras that are all around this area and how that might be impacting you. So I'm not going to go through them all, but there is a number of amazing resources on here. And if you live within the city limits, you don't live in the unincorporated area, we have links here for you to get to the resources available for your city. So there's links to the actual city pages as well as the social media accounts for fire, law enforcement, as well as some of the other resources that really post a lot of emergency information for their jurisdiction. So those are just quick links. You can click anywhere on those boxes. It'll take you to that social media resource. Again, find out what your zone is here by clicking Know Your Zone. If you want to do more and find out how you can volunteer, we are always accepting volunteers. We have a number of teams that we have volunteers for. Our largest team is our search and rescue team. They deploy not only within the county, but all over the state. They're a highly regarded, very well-regarded team with a number of different specialties, including rope rescue and other various things, as well as canine teams. They deployed on the Camp Fire in Butte County, as well as other major disasters throughout the state. We have a dive team. They're actually certified divers that goes in the water off of the vessel that we own and operate. They can do evidence searches. They can get cars and do different things all within the waterways within Solano County. They've also done mutual aid outside the county and surrounding areas as well. We have an auxiliary communication service. Those are our think ham radio operators. Those are our radio operators. Amazing group of folks that help support in a number of different scenarios, particularly if our normal public safety communications are having any kind of difficulty, then we have these radio operators on a different system that we can utilize in an emergency if necessary. We have a number of other general volunteer opportunities. We have large vehicles that we operate, vessels that we operate, and then we have folks that come in and just support the Emergency Operations Center during disasters or other call outs and events. So if you are interested in becoming a volunteer, if you go to the Solano County website under OES, there's a link here for volunteer teams, and then how can I apply? So there's a link for the volunteer application, as well as our contact information. We're always accepting volunteers, with the exception of during an emergency. So if we're actively in a disaster or emergency response, is not the time that we accept volunteers through OES. We do encourage you, if you're interested in being a volunteer, to register as a volunteer in advance. If you get the urge to volunteer during an emergency or disaster, that's when we rely heavily on our partners, like CVNL or the Red Cross or a number of other amazing organizations that we partner with that do accept volunteers during an emergency or disaster. So if you have questions or need any additional information, our phone number is 707-784-1600. That's on my slides as well, or you can email us anytime, oes@solanocounty.com. That's oes@solanocounty.com. You can email us anytime. And that is all I have for you today.
Well, that was a mouthful, Robin.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. But I tell you, I remember looking at this same link, same website some years ago. You all have so evolved into this one-stop shop of very thorough emergency preparedness information. It's amazing. So
we're really trying, because there are so many resources available. It can be really overwhelming. And so we started out with making our own, but you're really just duplicating something that already exists in a really great format. So instead we went with, why don't we compile all of this information together and make it the easiest possible for people to get the information that they need.
It is. It's so easy to navigate. I can't wait to go there, play around with it, and look at that map, that wildfire camera map. That's amazing too.
It is. It's been a really great resource, because you can really get a lot just by, having that visual of, wow, that's a lot of smoke. Okay, well, that's black smoke. Well, that's not good. That kind of information, just from a quick visual, it really helps wrap your brain around what's happening in your community.
It does. Well, I just want to thank you again for coming, for presenting. Again, you gave me, I feel like I'm connected, and I feel like you just loaded me with some really great resources and information for me to dive in further.
Great.
So
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. But thank you on behalf of myself and the community. Well, welcome back, everyone. I get to share the stage, the virtual stage, with a community-based organization that I am very fond of, and I know You are as well. The American Red Cross. They are here. We have both Vincent and Robbie. And hello. Good to see you
Hello.
guys.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having us on.
I'm going to tell the community a little bit about you. I have your bios in front of me, so I'm gonna introduce you all and then pass it off to you to educate the community.
Fantastic. Wonderful.
First, I would like to introduce Vincent Valenzuela, and I'm so excited to see you again, Vincent. We saw each other. We haven't seen each other in a few years since we came in as one of our the emergency preparedness heroes of Solano County. So it's wonderful to see you back.
Thank you for having me back.
Thank you. So a little bit, your bio, Vincent Valenzuela. Journey with the Red Cross began in 2018 as a disaster program manager for Solano and Marin counties. In this role, he successfully built internal connections with the volunteer base and also established partnerships throughout the community, working closely with local voluntary organizations active in disaster, that's VOAD,
yes, it is.
in the North Bay chapter. He has supported the Red Cross mission with multiple local and national disaster deployments to hurricanes, wildfires, floods, and home fires. Vincent has over 20 years of nonprofit experience and is dedicated to supporting communities, families, and building connections. In his new role as chapter CEO, Vincent will work to bridge our Red Cross leadership to the volunteers carrying out the mission on a daily basis, facilitating a free flow of information and sharing ideas. He also will focus on developing even stronger connections with our donors and recruiting partners and board member prospects. A North Bay resident, Vincent enjoys adding to his vinyl record collection, cheering the Bay Area sports teams, and spending time with family and friends. Welcome back, Vincent.
Thank you, Kate Patrice.
And now I get to introduce Robert Gaines. Robert goes by Robbie. Good to meet you, Robbie.
Good to meet you.
Robert is the new disaster program manager for Marin and Solano counties with the American Red Cross. He's originally from a small town in southern Indiana and has greatly enjoyed being a Midwest transplant in the beautiful NorCal. He has had the opportunity to serve in both the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps in CCC programs working in the fields of public health, youth empowerment, and emergency response. He is thrilled to begin his career with Red Cross and work alongside the many organizations in Solano County dedicated to serving our community and ensuring that all are prepared for each curveball that life throws to all. It is a thrill to meet you.
Wonderful to meet you as well. I'm excited to work together. It's going to be a good partnership, the beginning of a long friendship, like they said. So
I agree. I can feel it.
Even over virtual.
Yeah, I just feel like we really have a win in having you onto the American Red Cross team. When I read your background, I just feel really honored that we have talent like you join the
Thank
team.
you. I'm excited to work together, Kate Patrice.
Awesome. So Vincent, I think you were gonna give us a few words and then pass on to Robbie.
Yes. I'll let Robbie, we're going to share a PowerPoint presentation with some Red Cross information. I know he's going to pull that slide deck up here in a minute. So as always, any Red Cross presentation, I like to start off with our mission statement, and I will read it out. The American Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. For those that don't know, Red Cross is definitely a volunteer-driven organization. We have a ratio of about 13 or 14 volunteers to one staff. Without the energy of our volunteers, we cannot do what we do. So any Red Cross volunteer out there, I'm passing along a big thank you to you. And of course, the donors, again, we can't do what we do without the support of our donors. So thank you to everyone. It is a big effort amongst all to make sure that we support the community the way that we do. On to the next slide here. So today we are going to focus on disaster preparedness, but I always like to share the other work that Red Cross does in the community that folks may not be aware of. I won't dive into these topics, but I want to make folks aware that these programs are available. This slide deck will be available, and all those links right there are hyperlinks to those different programs. So we have our disaster cycle services, and that's what we'll focus on today. Our disaster cycle services really has three prongs: our preparedness, response, and recovery. Today, we're going to focus on the preparedness side of that. We also have our biomedical services, blood drives, and blood collection education services, service to the armed forces, international services, and training services. All great programs. I would love to possibly come back another time and dive into those other topics, other services from Red Cross. But again, when you receive the slide deck, you have questions, I know our contact information will be provided as well. Please feel free to reach out anytime. And I would love to have a conversation, meet, or present to yourself, your organization, about any one of those other programs within our Red Cross world, or dive into the response and recovery side of disaster cycle services. Great information. And I always like to point out as well, as you see on the left side of the screen, our work down the street, across the country, around the world. We really are everywhere. Red Cross is in every county, every community, and we really like to make it uniform. So the same programs being offered here in California are the same programs being offered in Texas or Indiana or Florida or New York. Anywhere across the nation, they're uniform programs. So you may have a family member living in a different state that's curious about Red Cross, have them reach out and we can connect them with those individuals. There's Red Cross individuals in their community. So great information. I won't spend too much time on that because I want to pass it off to Robbie so we can jump straight into our preparedness programs. And on that note, off to you, Robbie, and let's share some great preparedness information.
Perfect. Thank you, Vincent. That's a great setup. I always love the down the street, across the world, or across the country and around the world. I love that. And that's one of my favorite parts. It's because it's a community-led organization. So with that, let's dig into some of the preparedness programs. We have a wide view of programs. We have our programs for youth preparedness. We have our community preparedness and resiliency programs, and so much more. And we're expanding upon those programs all the time. And like Vincent said, if you're interested in reaching out, reach out, volunteer. This is Red Cross is always happy to have people come on and support these programs. It's you know, in a way, it's taking ownership of our community, and to be prepared means making sure that we're doing what we can for our families and for our friends and families in our circles, but also making sure that we're looking out for each other and as best we can. So digging into some of our programs. So our goals with these is really to provide the preparedness programs to community to increase the awareness of the local hazards. So in California, especially in Northern California and the Bay Area here, we have a lot going on. We have wildfires, floods, things are constantly evolving and changing, and we're seeing new local hazards all the time. So with that, it's important that we're constantly keeping up to date. Was happy to attend the last bit of Robin's presentation with the Office of Emergency Management, and that was wonderful to get to see all the resources. So definitely invite everybody to dig in, to that there. And also part of our mission and our goal is to encourage individuals in our household to take action. So, the September Preparedness Month, that is a fantastic opportunity for us all. Even if we think we know we're ready and we know exactly what it is, it's a fantastic month in September to just recheck and make sure that we are good to go. And so that's what our goal is to provide those resources, tools, information to community members, and making sure Red Cross, being a community organization, we work with everyone else as well, making sure that we can support everybody in Solano County for when disaster comes. So, like I mentioned before, we have the community preparedness and resiliency services. We have our youth preparedness programs, which ranges anywhere from kindergarten all the way up through 5th grade and even in high school and teens. And then we have our community preparedness education program. So these are some great programs I'm excited to tell you about. So we're going to start it off with community preparedness and resiliency services. So with that, and actually a little bit of history with this is actually I was a volunteer for about a year up in Sonoma County working with the Sound the Alarm program. And this was one of my first events ever I had done with Red Cross outside of way back in school when I remember Red Cross coming out to present, but it was the Sound the Alarm. So that's our home fire campaign. So really what that is that's a program that we can go out into the community and be able to, Red Cross does an event where we can come into the home, make sure that you have the smoke alarm. So that's why Sound the Alarm, there is a little play on words. And so we can come and do some smoke alarm installs. We can install those completely for free. We have our wonderful Sound the Alarm teams that are able to come out on appointment based, or we can do a large scale event in the community to do those smoke alarm installations, to show each resident how it works, make sure you, your children, everybody in the household knows what to do in the case of a home fire. That's really something that we want to make sure we're taking care of, because home fires happen way more frequently than we think. And that's something that we can prevent, and we can make sure that everybody has a plan and is safe in that. So that's a great program. If anyone is interested, of course, there'll be tons of links and resources at the end of this, as well as stuff that we'll send out, the ways that you can bring that to your home, as well as your community. The second one here is a really cool one as well, the wildfire home safety visits. This one especially, we're coming into wildfire season right now, and it really is. There's the home fire as well as wildfire, and those can present a little bit differently for how we prepare for those. So really with the wildfire, the home safety visits, making sure your home has defensible spacing, making sure that you don't have brush and shrubs, that you have that defensive space around your property, and you're safe. You know your evacuation routes, you know your evacuation zones, as Robin was mentioning. So really, there's so many things that go into that, and there's also we'll get into a little bit later, but there's the go bags, and so making sure there's a go bag for a home fire that you can keep by your door or in your car. There's also the go bags that if you are evacuating from wildfire, that may look a little bit differently. So there's so much that we can be able to come out and do to visit the home, to meet with you all as the community, as homeowners, or anybody that has residence in Solano County, and be able to serve and make and create a personalized plan to keep you and your family safe. So that's really, really our priority with that. So I kind of went over this, was going into it, but Red Cross really does respond to more than 62,000 disasters, the majority of which are home fires. So that's an astounding number when you think about, when you really think about how many days are in a year, 365, 62,000 disasters. So it's really making sure that we as community members are ready to respond, that we're safe, and then we're able to keep our family and loved ones safe. And then I'm keep on going. The home wildfire home safety visits, as I was talking about, Really, truly, we're in an era that research shows wildfire risk are likely to grow in the next 30 years. And we're already seeing new disasters every year with flooding coming in, wildfires. We're having the Hurricane Hillary down in Southern California right now. So the impacts of that is ever changing. So we just got to make sure that we are also adapting to be ready for those. Okay, and then moving on into our youth preparedness programs. Our youth preparedness programs are some of my favorites. I have a background in education with the kiddos, so nothing brings me more joy than being in a room full of kiddos that you bring out Pedro and everybody's so curious and wondering what it is. And it's a fantastic way to engage. As Red Cross, we really love being a community organization, being an organization that serves everybody. We'd love to see everybody engaged from a young age all the way until you are able to serve after retirement or whatever that looks like. We want to engage all populations, all ages, all demographics, because it's just a beautiful thing to see whenever we're able to bring those people together and engage people with Red Cross's mission throughout their lifetime. So with that, prepare with Pedro. So this is really a target age is kindergarten through second grade. So what it is, it's a really tangible, it's a fun storybook presentation, teaching the kids how to be prepared, how to take action, make sure that it's not just something that you're talking about, but it's something they can take home, take that storybook home and be able to show it to their family, show it to their other relatives, their mom, their dad, whoever it is that makes up that family unit. And this is on home fires as well as local hazards. So we have Prepare with Pedro with earthquakes, we have wildfires or home fire, and we also have those in English and Spanish, and are working to expand the accessibility with that to fit the languages as that household speaks. So this is a fantastic way to really empower our youth, and they can take it. They're excited to take it home and show their mom and dad, look what I learned today. This is so cool. And then that actually keeps their family safe. And that's a wonderful way to engage. And we love seeing stories and when kids light up with excitement with that. And then the next is the Pillowcase Project. So this is a very complimentary program to Prepare with Pedro, but it's targeted towards a little bit of the older age groups, the third through fifth grade. And this is really teaching students about personal as well as family preparedness. This is a fantastic way. The Pillowcase program kind of came out of Hurricane Katrina, when actually it was students actually and students and family members taking things and putting them into the pillowcase, and is almost a version of a go bag. And so this is a wonderful program. As you can see the picture in the bottom left corner, that's an example of one of the pillowcases. It kind of has opportunity. We always allow students to draw on them, customize them, kind of put a little bit of an action plan on there. And so that's a fantastic way is really through the model of learn, practice, and share. So students can come in and learn, can practice the skills, go home, take that same pillowcase that they made during the event, and then take it home, fill it with a go bag. And that way they have their own little go bag. And that's such a wonderful, tangible skill for the kiddos to have. And it really is, it really emphasizes on a low cost preparedness kit, something that you don't have to go to the store and fill it, but it's a lot of times items that we already have laying around home that can be of great use to us if we need that go bag. All right, and so moving on into the community preparedness education programs. These are also some of my favorites. And so Be Red Cross Ready is a really cool program, and it is quite adaptable. So it really, I have the booklet here, and there'll be an opportunity at the end of the presentation and to share all those resources. But Be Red Cross Ready is a fantastic way of just almost general preparedness, making sure you have the go bag, you are prepared, it encompasses a little bit of everything, and it really can be adapted to classrooms, to teenagers in high school, as well as adults, and anywhere, community centers, or anywhere where a community gathers. This is a fantastic way to come, and especially being in the months of September, to be able to engage and take some bite-sized information and to put it into practical use. So moving on into that, the target age is adults. And like I mentioned, it can also be tailored towards teens. But the objective of this is we're increasing the number of adults, including individuals with low income or living in low resource communities who are prepared to respond to disasters. We want to, put the chip in your hands and be able to make sure that you are able to respond and that you have a plan. You have a plan of action, and there is something that's going on in your mind before a disaster happens, because we all know as we're humans, and when disaster happens, we don't have the same logical brain that we can have in steady state, as we like to call it, or blue skies. So this is a wonderful, and like Vincent mentioned earlier, all these programs, the wonderful part about being part of the American Red Cross is these programs are national. They're standardized. They're free preparedness education curriculum. So you can take it, and if you were able to come to a presentation and you want to take it and share it by all means. That's the purpose of this, is sharing it and making sure we're all prepared. And like you mentioned, you can share it. I'm from Indiana. You can share it with folks in Indiana, and my parents and my family, my brothers and sisters know what these programs are as well, because it's in their community as well, which is just a wonderful and beautiful thing about that. All right, and the next one. So I'm sure a lot of folks are familiar with the hands-only CPR or the CPR first aid that Red Cross often offers. And so the target age with this is our youth, adults, and talking about a community response. And these can be specific to health disasters, but with that, as many people as we can have in our community to teach untrained bystanders how to perform hands-only CPR. Truly, we talk about saving a life. There's so much you can do within Red Cross as to be a blood donor and save a life in that way. Preparedness, or helping out and respond whenever disaster does come to the community. But this is truly a way that you can empower yourself with skills and learn how to do that hands-only CPR with 500,000 cardiac arrests each year. That is honestly hard to wrap your brain around. But CPR is that cardiopulmonary resuscitation, can help save a person's life. So if they stop breathing or their heart stops, so it's really, I really want to emphasize on the next line there, it's not just for healthcare workers, and it's not just for emergency responders, because we find that whenever we look at data, it's those first few minutes of whenever something happens, and just to know that a bystander that may be trained can come and intervene and keep you going with hands-only CPR, keep that heart going. That is so crucial. And I know that first responders, healthcare workers all appreciate that as well. As much as we can look out for one another, that's a wonderful way in which we can serve. All right. And so at the end of this is the part I love, the part where we can really dig in, is all the resources. So you can get lost, as Kay Patrice mentioned. I'm new to the Red Cross, and I'm about 3-4 months into the role. Have volunteered for about a year, and I am still learning something new every single day. That's the wonderful part about it, is redcross.org has so many resources. Like Vincent mentioned, we have so many branches of service, and we're within disaster cycle services within the preparedness realm. And so there is so much you can look at, you can learn, you can download forms, you can make your printouts and be able to hand it out, share with the community. So that first link, that redcross.org/NCCR, that's the Northern Coastal California region, prepare. And so that is a wonderful resource that you can have. And that's specific to our Bay Area here, as we serve in Solano County as well. Those resources are specific, and we can, it really invites you to look at what your preparedness is, and be able to respond with that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, to volunteer. Red Cross, there are so many ways that you can engage with the mission of Red Cross, and instead of just looking at all this information saying, oh, that's really cool, neat, but there are ways you can engage with that same mission and be able to help your community as well. And so redcross.org/volunteer, always looking for more wonderful folks. Just like everyone on this panel, as well as everyone attending at home and watching this, we invite you to come be a part of the organization. We as mentioned, 13 volunteers to 1 paid staff. So we are the heart and soul as we run on volunteers and community members that are able to carry out the mission. And then also the link below to request a presentation or appointment. That is a fantastic one. If anything in the presentation today really struck a note and was like, wow, I want to learn more, or I want to find a way to, I'm in the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, and I want to, oh my gosh, this would be wonderful to take. And in September, in the month of September, to, wow, I wonder if we can engage this and have a little preparedness talk. Or if you're a school teacher or even a student in school, there's so many ways to where you can take this information and get it to yourself, as well as your peers, your family, all the folks that matter most to you in your life. And then this one is the handout I was showing here to be Red Cross ready. It is a plethora of information. I love this one specifically. And the reason I printed this one out, it's got the preparedness essentials. Like, I think sometimes we can be overwhelmed with, okay, I get the whole topic of preparedness, but what can I do tonight? What can I go home and do with my family and sit at the dinner table and talk about? This is a fantastic handout with wonderful resources, being prepared, understanding your risks, your plan to stay connected, emergency skills, gathering emergency supplies. And my favorite, it's got on the gathering emergency supplies, got a fantastic list. I know you obviously can't see this, but that QR code can take you exactly to a printout. And with that, to put together your go bag, make sure that it fits your needs and make sure that you and your family can do that together. And that is just a wonderful, wonderful resource to have. Excited to share that with everyone. And if there's any questions, feel free to reach out through those links. And that's something that we're happy to answer and happy to partner and meet with you and figure out how to serve best. And that's another, so the Be Red Cross Ready booklet, we have that in English, we have it in Spanish, Vietnamese, it's blocking here, and Chinese. And so as we mentioned, we're with language accessibility, we're working every day. Our wonderful media team is working to make sure that we're able to reach more and more homes, and doing that and reaching them in their primary language. So this is just a wonderful thing. As you can see, the CPR, the sound the alarm program. You can see one of the images here is preparing a go kit. And so we honestly love to see it. And any ways you'd like to be engaged in the Red Cross mission, we would love to have you.
I tell you, by the way, that first QR code, Be Red Cross Ready, I scanned it. And I already sent
Awesome.
my family. So we're gonna go over our kit. We haven't touched it in a few years. I'm almost embarrassed to say that, but I have a feeling that might be helping other people. And so I just glimpsing at it, I love it. So we're going to be making good use of this. Also, I will tell you that I think the American Red Cross, the work that you all do surrounding that home fire campaign, that safe visits, and also those youth programs, I think they are stellar and so unique. And I know that you are making an impact to families. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
very much appreciate you having us out here. And this is a fantastic opportunity to expand those programs. So program and as far as a booklet is great, but we love to see it whenever we can get out into the community and be able to share that.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. This has been a really exciting segment. Again, I feel like with every segment, I'm like, I just learned some more stuff. So thank you for taking the community along with you and just teaching us so many of these extra tools.
Thank you for creating the platform, Kay Patrice, and your team. It's a great platform to get this information out.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Well, hello, welcome back. This is Kay Patrice Williams, and I get to introduce one of my other favorites in the community, Jessica. She is with Spread Love Solano. I'm going to tell you how I got to know her in a few minutes, but Jessica, pronounce your last name for me.
Ostrowski.
And of course, I still say it wrong because I have a list. So I'm going to say Jessica O. You already gave me free permission. Okay. Because I don't want my list messing up your beautiful name.
Oh, you're fine.
So I tell you, I met Jessica. Jessica was nominated as one of our emergency preparedness heroes of disaster preparedness. And Jessica lit up the screen like she is doing now.
Oh.
And then we start talking about what to do during an evacuation, what products we should have at home. We start talking about food. I guess it's dried food that you could kind of travel with, pack and have for years, and during an emergency you have it, and you start pulling out products out of your bag. You pulled out the food, like it was. Well, two things: A, loved you immediately. We became fast friends immediately.
We did.
This platform, not having met each other in person. Then, also I knew at the end, I was like, if I'm going to be in an emergency situation, if I was going to pick a person, it's Jessica.
Come on over.
So with that, I want to read a little bit of your bio. A little bit meaning every single word. Because I want everyone to know exactly who you are, and the magic that is you. So Jessica O has been active in community outreach and wildfire relief efforts in Solano County, Northern California since 2015, along with founding partners Joyce Oren of Code 3 Fire and Safety in Sassoon and NERO, NorCal Emergency Responders Organization, and Chief Fatima Halif of Napa. Jessica co-founded the grassroots Spread Love Solano community organization. Spread Love Solano is a people-centric community outreach and networking coalition that offers and supports hands-on involvement in our community with a special focus on disaster preparedness and response. Spread Love Solano is a network comprised of local nonprofit and community organizations, as well as local businesses and hundreds of community members who serve as donors and volunteers. Jessica's primary role in Spread Love Solano is acting as a delegate and facilitator in efforts to connect and support community volunteers, businesses, community groups, nonprofits, and like-minded projects and causes in an effort to make a larger impact in our community through initiative, teamwork, and collaboration. Jessica is a licensed home loan officer and has been in the mortgage business for over a decade. She lives in Sassoon with her husband, her dog, and her chickens. That always makes you laugh. Who are named after female rock stars. She enjoys fishing, hiking, writing, reading, spending time with her loved ones, and in the great outdoors. In 2018, Jessica and her now husband spent 6 months hiking 2,652 miles from California, Mexico border to the Washington, Canada border via the Pacific Crest Trail. She has served her community as former chairwoman of the scholarship committee and former marketing coordinator for the 100 Club of Solano and Yolo counties. She has a special heart for veterans, the elderly, foster youth, and animals. In 2019, she was honored at home as a hometown hero on the Travis Air Force Base for her disaster relief efforts. Didn't I tell you she was amazing? Every single word of that bio. Just we've already talked about it off camera, but my team and myself, we are just crazy about you. Thank you for everything you do and you bring to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm honored.
We are honored. Will you tell me where you want us to go with your presentation? I know we have pictures to when you're ready that we're going to roll through. You guide us.
All right. Well, go ahead and start rolling the photos whenever you'd like. I'm just going to give a little bit of a background about Spread Love Solano, and then just share a few recommendations and tips that I have for just disaster preparedness and relief. So Spread Love Solano, we basically are, as Patrice stated in the bio, just a very grassroots organization in the community. And what we do is we provide direct relief in the form of volunteers and donations for requested community needs in the days, weeks, and months following disasters in Solano County and in Northern California. Just over the years, we've coordinated, participated in, supported just different fundraisers and donation drives, and co-founder Chef Fatima Hafiz through the Greater Bay Area Food and Beverage Network over the years has coordinated thousands of meals for first responders and fire survivors. In 2020, Spread Love Solano connected with Solano volunteers and CBNL via the wonderful Miss Rhonda Smith. And much of our involvement now in disaster preparedness and relief efforts is initiated by Solano Volunteers leadership, because they are very plugged in to the needs through the county, and they're also just a wonderful, great resource for support. What Spread Love Solano, we also work with, as previously mentioned in the bio, Joyce Oren's nonprofit organization, NERO, which is NorCal Emergency Responders Organization. We do work that we've been doing since 2015 when we got involved, but within the last 2 years, Joyce Oren has registered a nonprofit. And basically, we help support first responders during emergencies, usually within 4 to 12 hours of activation, just providing meals, hygiene items, water, things of that nature. Spread Love Solano is not a registered nonprofit, but we have many partner organizations that we work with, those mentioned above. And again, just giving a quick shout out to the 100 Club of Solano and Yolo counties, President Ron Turner and VP Sandra Cardwell. They've always just been really wonderful, supporting just all of the efforts of Spread Love Solano, checking in and making sure everything's going well, and we are meeting the needs that we're working on. Spread Love Solano is also one of the coordinators for the Solano VOAD, Volunteer Organizations Active in Disaster Storage Unit. We have a storage unit in Vacaville that houses volunteer materials, emergency kits, hygiene items, utility items, just things that would be needed by volunteers or in the community during a disaster. But essentially what Spread Love Solano is it is you guys. It is Solano County. It's the community. It's the people that show up when, things are needed and when times are, during disaster time. And much of our network and the success of Spread Love Solano so far has been facilitated through social media, using social media, specifically our Facebook group, Spread Love Solano. And that we do try to provide real-time updates and coordinate volunteer opportunities and material needs for the community through that Facebook group. Anybody can help. Over the years, we've had, kids and different youth groups and local gyms, veterans organizations, retirees, everybody all over Solano County has shown up and beyond. You know, sometimes we've had volunteers show up for one, you know, responding to one fire, and they've shown up for an hour or two to help. And then we do have people that show up every time. So really is you guys, Spread Love Solano is really more of a concept than an actual organization. And that's because of you, again, Solano County. I just want to say thank you. I'm always very moved by just the response that comes when, you know, throughout the fires over the years and the LNU fire in 2020, just the response from you guys is incredible, and it never ceases to move and inspire me. So thank you. I do have a few just recommendations and tips for the community just during, you know, for disaster preparedness to get ready, and also a little bit about disaster relief efforts. Emergency alerts. So there are a couple different alerts I'm sure that has been talked about. Alert Solano and or Nixle. And if you are not already signed up, please get signed up. These are very important. They're there for a reason. They're there to protect us and keep us safe and help us get ready. You can sign up using your address or your zip code. And I do also recommend signing up for nearby zip codes and also the addresses or zip codes of your loved ones. I'm signed up on both Alert Solano and Nixle, and I do have, I'm signed up with in Sassoon where I live with that zip code, but also where my parents live in the area, my brother, my sister, and my in-laws. That way you can just kind of keep a pulse on anything that may be happening in the area of your loved ones, so you can check in, help keep them safe in the case of a disaster. And I do recommend also just signing up for some area codes around your own. We have several area codes here in Solano County. So in addition to my Sassoon zip code, I'm signed up for all of the zip codes in Solano County and even some surrounding areas. And this can help, you know, if there is an evacuation order placed out in a nearby zip code, it can help you get preemptively ready to evacuate. And I just want to press on the importance of taking heed of emergency alerts. I do have a little anecdote I want to share about my parents. During the LNU fire, I think, you know, I'd heard about the fire very, very early in the morning, and reached out to my parents 6:30 in the morning. They live on the north side of Fairfield, and they do live near a lot of open space and dry grass areas. And I reached out and I said, hey, you know, this fire is going on. You know, can you guys maybe just get a few things together, just be ready to go, just in case. And I was kind of just monitoring the fire throughout the day, just seeing, you know, different alerts were going out. And every hour and a half, 2 hours, I was checking in with my parents to make sure they were getting ready to go just in case. And then as the afternoon comes around, I saw an alert go out for, I think it was either the west side of Fairfield or possibly the south side of Vacaville, but not too far from my parents. And as we know, disasters are incredibly unpredictable. And just, you know, some of the things we've been seeing with the wildfires the last couple of years, sometimes they move really quickly, wind shifts, we just don't know. So it's very important to be prepared. But I saw that alert go out and let my parents know, hey, this area close by you guys has been evacuated now, you know, maybe next, can you get ready? And at the time, our volunteer storage unit was in Sassoon, so I was picking up some items from there to take over to an evacuation site in Vacaville. And then I see the alert come up for my parents' area to evacuate. And I said, hey, I really hope you guys are ready to go because here's the alert, if that's what you were waiting for. So I, you know, ended up driving over there because I wasn't too far. And what are my parents doing when I got there? They are starting to pack up their stuff and put it in the car. The thing that I've been telling them to do all day. So luckily, you know, all was well. We did end up getting out of the area. We left within 30 minutes of the alert, but there was already traffic backing up on some of the main thoroughfares out of there. And, you know, I know anybody that was around in the area at that time, you guys remember probably all the traffic. So just want to press the importance of taking heed of these emergency alerts and trying to, if you can, leave early, play it safe. If you are getting an advisory versus a mandatory evacuation alert, it may be a good idea to just go ahead and get out of there, and just be ready to go. Spread Love Solano, we do try to share all of the community alerts and updates on our Facebook group, Spread Love Solano. And of course, there's always the direct sources, the Solano OES, Office of Emergency Services, Solano Sheriff, the Nixle website will provide all of the different alerts that have been coming out. But very good to go ahead and get on Nixle and or Alert Solano if you are not already. And then rolling into that, very, very important to have a family emergency plan, knowing where you will go during an evacuation, having meeting places. I recommend a couple different meeting places for your family, locations, keeping in mind multiple routes or entrances and exits. This is really important because during an actual disaster, we may not be able to touch bases with our family. The Camp Fire in Paradise in 2018, they lost cell coverage and their people weren't able to get a hold of their families for hours and even days. So having a pre-planned place to meet in case there's a disaster is very important. I also recommend just having some family or friends outside of the area where you can go a couple places. My family, we have family over in Stockton and we have family over in Santa Rosa. And we know if our whole area is affected and our planned meeting places, which are my house on the eastern side of Sassoon and my sister's house on the eastern side of Vacaville, we know if we're all evacuated, we're going to have to go to either Stockton or Santa Rosa if we can. It's just good to stay in touch and have a plan and know where you can go to be with your family and to be safe. Just preemptively having that plan ready in case you do lose cell coverage and aren't able to get in touch with each other. Another thing I wanted to just kind of press on and suggest is checking in on your elderly neighbors and friends. Even if you know that there's something going on around the area, like I said, I'm signed up for just different Nixle alerts and surrounding areas. But if I see that there is evacuation advisories or anything like that, just check in. You have neighbors or maybe friends that are older. Maybe they can't hear the alerts that they're receiving or they're not signed up. And disabled people that maybe aren't able to get out or move as quickly in the case of an evacuation. Maybe you have neighbors or friends that are parents of small children. Maybe a single parent. Just anybody that's going to need a little bit of extra help during an evacuation. Just check in on them. I think that's part of our job as human beings to share a little bit. I don't have all my stuff today to pull out, but just a quick little verbal list, something that I do. If you don't have a go bag in your car already, or if you're not home and able to grab your go bag, something that I do is I actually keep emergency items in my car at all times. And a lot of this does stem from the hobbies that I do that put me into the outdoors or sometimes more remote areas, places with little cell coverage. But just some items that will help make your situation a little bit better for you in the case of an evacuation or if you do get stuck somewhere. These items I keep in my car. I always have a flashlight, headlamp, or battery-powered lantern, spare batteries. I always have a portable phone charger and cord. I always have 2 gallons of water in my car, but good rule of thumb is a gallon per person. I do have snacks in my car. Those are for emergencies or when I get hangry, but good to have. First aid kit is very important. Masks or face coverings, a set of warm clothes. I do try to keep some warm clothes in my car. I do also recommend there's very inexpensive sets of rain gear you can buy just at Walmart called Frog Togs. They're $20 or $30. But they are just an extra layer you can put over your clothes that are going to help keep you a little bit warm. And I always have a blanket and or sleeping bag in my car. And these are just things that, if you are in an evacuation, we saw a little bit here during the LNU fire, some of the traffic, it was taking, over an hour to get to places that typically take us 15 or 20 minutes. And we saw, from the Camp Fire, people that were stuck in gridlock traffic for hours and hours. And we don't know what the conditions are going to be like outside. We don't know if maybe it's going to be incredibly hot. Maybe it's pouring rain. We don't know. We might be stuck somewhere. And just having some items in your car is going to just help make your situation a little bit better, regardless of what's going on. So just a suggestion for you. I can go ahead and put together a little list with some recommendations for gear, since I love doing that, to provide for the website and the resource folder. And then the last thing I want to talk about actually has to do with disaster relief. It's something called, I'm sure we've heard, the second disaster. And, we have seen that following most of the wildfires here in California. The hurricanes, all of these disasters, we have seen this wave of relief that comes in. Humans, when we see these terrible things happen and we see this loss that other people are experiencing, for example, now in Maui, when we see this happen, we're pulled to help a lot of us, and it's always incredibly appreciated. But what does happen, and what is called the second disaster, is just the influx of donations that come in following a disaster. Material items are needed. I would say, just in my experience, especially in the first 72 hours, sometimes before the larger organizations have moved in, maybe people are more scattered around. There's a little bit less organization, immediately preceding the disaster. And people do need things. They do need water. They do need blankets. They do need a toothbrush. But I want to press that needs change on a daily, even hourly basis following a disaster. And it is very important, if you would like to donate material items, just to have a direct contact somewhere at, whether it's the evacuation site or if it's a pop-up drop-off distribution center, just have a direct contact there. Verify the community needs. I have seen a lot of just, fundraisers or donation drives that last for, a week's time. And when you initially contact that evacuation site or distribution center, you may hear their needs then, and you're having this drive for a week. And then all of a sudden at the end of the week, the needs are completely different. So before you go drop off those items, again, just verify. We see it a lot, just these excess donations that end up going to waste. And it also is a hassle, and it takes time and money for people to put together the logistics of the transport and the disposal or offload of these extra items that weren't needed following the disaster. And it takes away from the resources and the people that need to be helping out in other ways. Monetary donations are always great. I know sometimes we don't like to hear that, but they are very helpful, because with the needs changing so often, those funds can be used for needs in the moment. And whether you're giving directly to a survivor family or someone who's displaced, or to a community foundation like Solano Community Foundation, who works with organizations that are directly helping people in need. But just wanted to put that out there for you. Thank you so much today for having me, and for all the great information and the organization putting this together. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. And I tell you, I really love the pictures. Thank you for sharing it with us. And I love the idea and thought of an emergency storage unit. When I saw the pictures, I was like, this is brilliant. So in an emergency, you all aren't, scrapping around trying to figure it out.
Right.
You have that. So that was a lot of forethought in thinking of that, and having it so beautifully organized. In addition to everything else you do, I just wanted to call that out.
Well, it's the VOAD. It's the VOAD storage unit, and it's been a community effort, and it's been it's really a great idea to have. Definitely. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for everything. I'm sitting here writing all these notes, and I'm like, I have access to the record. We all do. I can listen to it later. I don't have to write copious notes. So thank you for everything, Jessica.
Of course. Thank you, Kate Patrice, and thank you, Nisi and Lisa Clinton. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Hi, this is Kay Patrice Williams, and I'm back with another segment of Safe Solano. I get to introduce, do I introduce all my friends? Yes. Um, Another one of my good friends and one of my favorite community partners, Connie Harris. She is with the Solano Community Foundation. Hello, Connie.
Hello, Kate Patrice and gang.
I'm so glad that I get to introduce you and read your bio so that everyone could get to know you as well as I do. And so here it is. Connie Harris. Connie's experience in wearing many hats is evident while she directs, manages, and performs a variety of functions. These include donor services, accounting and finance, gift and grant processing, human resources, information technology, and visibility and development. A retired naval officer, she serves SCF as fund administrator and then as chief operating officer. Ms. Harris holds a master's degree in education, has worked for the foundation in its leadership capacity for over 21 years. She also is the primary training facilitator for the foundation's nonprofit partnership program. Prior to the pandemic, Connie's creative ideas, leadership, organizational skills, and dedicated efforts have produced many successful grant-making programs, aided by the support, enthusiasm, and appreciation of her staff, board, and community partners. Connie's passion and perseverance has helped grow the foundation and improve the quality of life for Solano County residents. That's a great bio. It really.
Thank you. It doesn't tell what I do in my spare time because I don't have any.
No, you got to change that.
I know, right?
Change that. Yeah, you have to have balance.
I know. I'm working toward that. I've been working toward balance as long as I've been working.
I feel like we talked about it a few years ago.
Yeah, same.
Well, wonderful. You know, I knew of your organization for a very long time, and but really leading the charge in training and facilitation for nonprofits and CBOs, and really making such a huge impact in that space. And then the pandemic happens, and seeing you all like at the cornerstone of these funding opportunities for CBOs and really seeing CBOs, seeing what they did and doing this, what I want to call not flexible funding, but they were just more fluid.
Right.
And just to see that, I just didn't think you all could become more amazing, and you have.
Oh, thank you. It was a team effort. Believe me, team
You
effort.
have an amazing team.
Thanks. I'm pretty happy with them. My staff and my board, fabulous, really.
Well, I'm excited to see. I know you just sent your revised presentation. I'm excited to see it.
All right. Well, it's not a whole lot, but I can speak to it. So let's let it roll. All right. Well, to start, our mission statement. A lot of folks don't even know that Solano Community Foundation exists, although more and more folks are becoming aware. The pandemic has helped that quite a little bit. But our mission statement is that we're dedicated to building a stronger community, enhancing the quality of life in Solano County, supporting philanthropic activities that make a deep and lasting positive impact forever. The word is in perpetuity. So once we, community foundation is involved and supports the community for forever. That's the whole idea of having that foundation of support. Next slide, please. This is our contact information. Folks like to get a hold of us. We're on Empire Street, which is, excuse me, the back side of our building is across the street from the Fairfield Police Station, right? And the Chamber of Commerce is up the street a little bit. we're about a block off of Travis, which makes it pretty handy. This is our phone number. You can get a hold of us at any time. Leave a message, send us an email. We're beefing up our social media, so we're trying to be in all places. But contact us if you have questions. So I want to start by saying that disaster relief. Back in 2017, when the fires first hit Sonoma and caused this terrible destruction in Sonoma, we decided as a foundation that we needed to do something and be ready in case the fires, not that they might, but when they do show up in Solano County. So we set up the Solano Disaster Relief Fund just so that we could start building a basis of support, money, financial support that we could then grant to the different nonprofits throughout Solano County, specifically to our COAD at the time and now VOAD, volunteer organizations active in disaster. And we were trying to be as prompt and ready as we could possibly be. In 17, we had no idea what that fire or what that damage might look like in Solano County, but in 2020, we became painfully aware of what happens with the LNU 19 fire. And that happened in August, just about 3 years ago today, actually, the 18th, I believe it was. I have a birthday coming up, and so I knew that was not a very good birthday week. It was very sad, very painful for so many people that lost their lives and homes and businesses in that fire. So from that point forward, in 2023 now, grants from the fund are going to be able to help our nonprofit partners. Now we say nonprofit partners, and that also includes faith-based organizations, but we use the term nonprofit partners because of our nonprofit partnership program as well. And that helps us provide funding to these partners that will then provide the direct services to the individuals, families, other nonprofits that are doing good work that support direct relief efforts, which are short-term recovery by providing services and resources, and then also some nonprofit disaster preparedness and planning efforts. The worst time to plan for the disaster, plan for wildfires, plan for flooding is when it's happening. So we like to try to put our ducks in a row before it gets to that point. This is a help us grow the fund. This is like a word from our sponsor that you can click on that code and or just go to our website, Solano CF, as in communityfoundation.org. And one of the disaster relief fund is on our homepage. So what we want to talk about today, though, is donations management, specifically cash donations, but donations come in all shapes and forms during a disaster, especially crisis when the disaster first hits and people don't know what to do, but I think they feel like they need to give something. So what tends to happen is that folks that read about or hear about or know about the disaster that's happening, they try to send information, they try to send goods and materials is what happens. Some folks know that have been around this, around disaster planning and preparedness and have been involved in disaster before, know that cash, money, contributions are really what we need. But the first thing that happens is an outpouring of in-kind donations. The money happens, but it usually happens after the fact from funders. Now that was a case that happened in 2020, is by the time the fire, the first responders responded to the fires, we were looking at trying to support what we consider nonprofits to be second responders, but we had to wait on funding coming in from our major funders. So what happens then is donated goods show up, excuse me, and the NGO, non-government organization donations, receiving centers are just overwhelmed. So the first thing people think about is, oh, these folks are going to need food, shelter, and clothing. Well, they can't really give them the shelter so much. And the donation, money-wise, folks look at this as an opportunity to offload in-kind donations, which are clothing and household items. But these kinds of donations, they actually exacerbate the problem because there's nowhere to stage them, there's nowhere to store them, we don't have the resources to go through and sort and clean and dispose. Folks were calling us throughout the disaster saying, we have a bunch of, blankets or clothing. Should we bring it to the foundation offices? And the answer is no, please don't. What we really need is cash and gift cards. Now, last time we did this, cash-wise, we also, this picture might be a little bit misleading in that we don't want you to come in with a handful of cash unless you've already counted it and you can verify from who the money is from. If in fact the individuals are going to get tax exempt receipts, right, for their charitable donations. But gift cards, we'll take gift cards. And then the last go around at the disaster, Rhonda Smith, who's going to be speaking during the same venue, this online forum, will also talk about some of the items that were given, I'm sure, in the last disaster, the last LNU fire. But we'll take gift cards and we'll jot down the name, the number, the amount, person that gave the card to us. So we can give this, these are the kinds of support, I guess you would say, where we can purchase what's needed. And the gift cards are really easy. Cash is best. Why? Why is cash best? Because we can purchase what we need. Food can be purchased fresh. Doesn't necessarily have to be packaged. Money, easy to transport, right? Donors receive a tax deductible receipt. Not for in-kind donations. Like I say, we don't accept the in-kind donations, which are anything other than cash and gift cards. And the purchases will help the affected economy. So folks that have been impacted by a disaster are having troubles, the small businesses staying on their feet. But if we can use them as our source of some of the resources that are needed, we kind of help the economy in at least not go under, but stay as a participant in, during the second phase, the first responder phase. This will be the second response phase, and cash can be used in all phases of recovery. Why? Because it's immediate response and relief. We can give cash to other nonprofits that can get the money to the folks that need it, friends, family, individuals, other nonprofits, and it also can be held and used as leverage for funders that are saying, what can we do? How can we help? Well, we could tell them, like we had done in the past, saying, well, we just received, $400,000 in cash donations. You could maybe match this. So we can use it for leverage, which then carries into the intermediate and maybe some long-term recovery. But we like to concentrate on what we consider to be the initial response. Like I say, not first responder, but we like to help when the evacuations have been made and folks are now wondering how are they going to recoup their life? What are they going to do to move onward? That's when we can step in and help the nonprofits, help the individuals. So what do? We make a donations plan, and I encourage any nonprofit organization, I'm talking to you now, that would like to be involved in, accepting donations. And that is, make sure that you have language that's going to appear on your website and social media, right? About how you're going to, what you need to solicit donations and why. Make a list of your media platforms that you're going to use to promote what it is that you're going to put out to the general public. Contact information that you have already on board for your major funders, for your fund holders, if you have them, foundations such as us, financial institutions. Make sure that you have contact information for your local VOAD or COAD, in this case when we first started this 3 years ago. And then craft a statement about how the gift card donations are going to be processed, who accepts them, who keeps track of the amounts. So part of the plan that you make as an organization will put you in a good position to get that information out quickly instead of trying to invent the wheel as it's spinning, yeah? And then language, what do you want to do? Well, keep the language broad enough so you can help pivot when the unmet needs arise, right? So you have to honor the donor intent. However, if the need changes, when and if it changes, you're going to have to be able to fund those new needs. So when you put a message out, and this is kind of the rule on gift acceptance, what you ask for when you're making that ask is what the donor is responding to. So you can't change horses in the middle of the stream. If you put the word out and say, oh, we need cash for food, they give you the cash and then you turn around and use it for housing. So make sure that either your language is broad enough to help with immediate unmet needs, be that broad, right? But you're going to tell the public what you won't do, and you're going to let them know that you're not going to accept in-kind donations unless you have a specific need for in-kind donations and specific in-kind donations. And then ensure that there's a place where people can bring the cash and the gifts in person. A lot of folks say, oh, put it in the mail. Okay, we have that opportunity. We also have PayPal, which you can make a donation through PayPal, and that worked out really well. But a lot of times folks just want to physically hand over their gift to somebody. You know, it's they want to know who the person is and have that person tell them that, yes, we'll use your card, you know, your gift cards and or cash for the purpose for which we solicited that donation. And then they have a good feeling about you as well. And then what if stuff is needed? That's your in-kind stuff, right? First of all, reach out to people and organizations that you already know. This is not the time you want to introduce yourself to South Bay funders. They don't know you. So go with people and orgs you already know and be very specific about what you're asking for. Otherwise, a request for 2 pairs of pants might turn into delivery of 200 pairs of pants or 20 or whatever the case may be. Then have a sign-up system. Treat your donors like volunteers. They should be able to fulfill specific requests. And again, this is a plug for CVNL, the Center for Volunteer Nonprofit Leadership. Use that. They have a nice system that's set up for volunteers to list your needs, and then they try to match up needs with the volunteers, right? And then communicate with your VOAD regularly. Member of the CBOs, those are your community-based organizations, they communicate with each other and with the County Emergency Operations Center. During COVID and during the last fire disaster and during the civil unrest in 2020, that triple whammy that we had, our COAD organization was meeting weekly. So we knew who was doing what, we knew where the needs were, we knew where the gaps were, and we knew how we could help as fast as we could process our gifts and get them out to the community. And then what are some other funding resources in terms of disaster relief? So if you're an organization and you want to protect your physical footprint, right? Then you could use our foundation directory online. That's the Candid now is the new name. It used to be Foundation Center. Foundation Directory Online, FDO, is a huge database that gives you a running start when you're looking for potential funders. You want to do this before the disaster hits, right? And then when and if the disaster hits your area, you could always check on GuideStar. GuideStar has a portal that allows you to double check organizations, as does the Foundation Directory Online, and just verify the EIN number, right? Make sure that the nonprofit that you want to make a contribution to, that's what we do, is in fact an eligible and a credentialed, verifiable 501c3 or a faith-based organization. And then you can always go to the California Grants portal. California State Library launched this back in, I want to say late 20, maybe early 21. And you can find all state grants and loan opportunities offered in one portal, right? grants.ca.gov. You can also find statistics about current grant and loan opportunities. It's something that you want to use. It's a resource that you want to use before the disaster strikes, so you know who to go to and or have that contact information available. And again, feel free to connect with us. We're on social media, SEF, Facebook, Solano Community Foundation. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and this will the website logo there. I forget what that's called. I want to say QR code, but it's more of a barcode, I guess. That'll take you right to our website as well. And if you have any questions, please just contact us. Go to our website, solanocf.org. We can help you as best we can.
Yes, it's a QR code and it works perfectly.
Right on. Good. Just what, yeah. I thought, oh, I didn't check that, but I know it does because Jennifer gave it to me, so I know it works.
And your website is just so easy to navigate. It really
Well,
is
thank you.
wonderfully organized. Thank you for this presentation. I realize that I have a reaction. I've seen it. You've done it before, and I have a reaction every time I see, those donations that are now kind of waste.
Exactly. Yes.
And we can't
It's
do.
not the time to clean out your garage or, the spare bedroom or whatever. Yeah, that it just adds to the debacle, right?
Right.
People are, what are we going to do with, mounds and mounds of clothing, and you can't find enough dumpsters and there's nowhere to
Right.
store it. You don't
Right.
know if it's clean. Yeah, we had a long discussion about that with our VOAD.
Yeah, yeah. It's and so it just brings home that point that cash and those gift cards so easy. And
So
so easy
easy.
for yeah, yeah, and so easy for us to go to the local. I love what you said about going to, the local
Local businesses. Yeah, local
yeah,
vendors. Make sure they're staying in business because, as you know, and you've seen that happen, we all did have, you know, countless organizations, small businesses went out of business.
yes,
Why? Well, there was no clientele, and if we're going to be helping the folks that have been impacted, no matter the disaster, if we can buy local, stay
yeah,
local, and you know that with
yes,
Empower Solano,
yeah.
try to help out our local business partners. We're all in it together. It's the same disaster.
And the final point that I wrote down that you said was a disaster is happening. It's going to happen again. We have
Yeah,
to
there's
plan
no
for it.
question when. Matter of fact, we were at the ready. We had some disaster money. We still have some funding, right, in our Solano Disaster Relief Fund. And last fall, I kept saying, okay, let's just hang on. We're going to wait because when the fires hit, we want to be ready when the fires hit. And by the time we got to Christmas, I was thinking, oh, all right. So I guess no fires. And then the rain started. We hadn't planned on flooding. We had
No,
not planned on flooding. So now we added that to our list of things to do and to plan for. Yeah. Disaster is a disaster is a disaster.
right.
They're unpredictable, which is why they're a disaster, right?
That's right. That's right. But being prepared, that's the way to go.
Yep. Be prepared. Know what you're going to do before you actually have to do it. And we
Mhm.
weren't really, like I say, 1 minute we're having a workshop on grant seeking and finding funders, and the next minute go home.
Yeah, right. Mm. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that was beneficial for everybody, and thank you for the opportunity in doing this. I think it's needed and it's perfect, and it'll give us the VOAD committee a lot of information to talk about and to point people in the right direction. So thank you very much, Kate.
Thank you. Always, always.
All right.
Thank you for coming on the
Call
show.
me if you need something.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
You're on the list.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Hi, this is Kay Patrice Williams, and welcome to another segment of Safe Solano. I get to introduce, I'm going to say it again, another one of my friends, Rhonda Rashawn Smith, MPA, MAED, MAOL. I'm giving you all all of your credentials. Rhonda, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kate Patrice, for the invitation.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm going to read your bio and it's full. But it's the most interesting thing. We've had a day of panelists coming through to talk about emergency preparedness. And so many of them mentioned you. You are really the anchor of this of this show. What Empower Solano does in emergency preparedness space. You are a connector, and so many in the community love you. So thank you. Thank you for being you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so the bio, the big bio. Um, Rhonda Rashawn Smith is a dynamic professional with 27 years of progressive management and advocacy expertise, specializing in building strategic partnerships focused on leading change and building consciousness. Rhonda has served as a member of staff and boards and has volunteered and advocated in a variety of nonprofit, government, and educational institutions. A native San Franciscan, Rhonda holds master's degrees in public administration from Golden Gate University, adult education from University of Phoenix, and organizational leadership from Gorongosa University. Rhonda has been a resident of Vallejo for 20 years and has worked in various positions throughout the county, garnering significant connections with key influencers, political and government leaders, faith leaders, and community members. Rhonda has been a resident of Vallejo and has worked in various positions throughout the county, garnering significant connections. Oh, did I say that already? I did. Can I say that she's the proud daughter of RC and Mary Rashawn, and the mother of Andrea Smith, a wonderful young lady who just entered her first year at University of Arizona College of Veterinary Medicine. She is a member of and on the leadership team at St. James AME Zion Church in San Mateo. Rhonda wakes each morning remaining compassionate, courageous, and committed to making change in her community. Can I just list a few others? You're on the board of director of the Solano County Fair Association, District 1, the past president of Greater Vallejo Jack and Jill of America, Vallejo Alumni Chapter member, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, vice chair, Contra Costa Regional Health Foundation, member of the Vallejo Chapter, NAACP, club representative, Solano County Democratic Central Committee, member, Black Women Organized for Political Action, that's the Solano Napa chapter, and the advisory board for the Vallejo Police Department. All of that.
All of that. I work and volunteer in my community.
You do. You do. Oh my goodness. So you have your fingers on so many points surrounding emergency preparedness. And I can't wait to see your presentation. I don't want to get in front of it because I want to have time for a few questions at the end.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, once again, thank you very much for this opportunity. I was able to listen in on Connie Harris's presentation, so there'll be some duplication, but I think you wanted me to focus on volunteerism during blue sky and gray sky, encounters. So blue sky is when there are no disasters in place, how we can prepare and volunteer during those times. And then gray sky, of course, is during the disaster and how volunteers, how we would like volunteers to respond during that time. Connie talked about, touched on the disaster within a disaster is what we call it in this field. And that is the generosity of a community that wants to respond immediately to the disaster before the all call goes out. So what we learned during the LNU fire, which was, I would say, married to our COVID pandemic, the early onset of that. And then we had civil unrest also. So it was a kind of trifecta disaster going on. We learned that, and I've known this for years, that Solano County, what we lack in financial donations just based on the average in the Bay Area, what we lack there, we do, 4 times, we quadruple the amount of giving when it comes to actually service and boots on the ground, collaboration and folks just wanting to help. How can I help? And how can that be done typically in a physical way? But what we learned during the LNU fire is that because we were overwhelmed with COVID and we were socially distancing and staying home and trying to keep people safe in that way, people were making physical donations by dropping them off on the doorsteps of our local firehouses, our community foundations, our larger nonprofits, like our family resource centers, just kind of leaving things there for to help, to assist. And those type of donations can really be overwhelming very quickly. So what I'll say to folks is that during a disaster, really waiting for the call, as Connie mentioned earlier, waiting for the call to know exactly what's needed is very important. So I know it's a very hard time to be patient and to wait, but we really need our volunteers to be patient and to wait. First and foremost, for your own safety. We don't want you out there trying to cut down trees or put out fires with water hoses, because we're impeding the response time of our first responders, those that are here to really respond to that. There's so many other underlining factors during the disaster. You don't know where the PG&E lines are, water lines are, etc. Things that are underground that you don't see, that you could actually be placing yourself in harm in the area that you're trying to work in. So it's almost like sit and wait, count to 30 until we're able to tell you kind of what to do. I think at this point, it's a great time to maybe show a video that we developed after the LNU fires, because we said, we ask people not to do things, but we want to be able to visually explain it to them so that they can see some things. And we had a volunteer from Catch a Fire, so a corporate volunteer, created this video for us that basically explains very about 2 minutes worth of information. But if we could play that video and then we can get back. So we have this video running on our Solano VOAD Facebook page, and we pin it every so often. We pin it to the top of the page so that people can see it. But during a disaster, this is something that any organization would be able to share, post. We're hoping that organizations are proactive during this blue sky moment, to post those now and to begin to have these conversations. Couple of things that I just want to highlight, as we talked about gift cards. In the area of gift cards, we find that gas cards specifically are very, very useful to families, or your grocery stores where you can buy food or other essentials, or even your multi-use stores. And that's what I consider like the Target or the Walmart, where you can buy food and household items. Those are always good. We also want to make sure that people know that even before the disaster, during blue sky moment, this is a perfect time to donate blood. Blood donations are at a constant low right now. The opportunity to our blood banks are near depletion in some areas. So if you're motivated by any of what you've witnessed so far, sign up now if you can, for a local blood drive, and donate blood, because that is something that is always needed year round, disaster or not. To our folks that are in the trades or our medical professionals, anyone that speaks a second language, all of those are oftentimes probably the group of volunteers that we're looking for most immediately during a disaster. Mental health professionals to provide just some mental health support during the disaster, not only for those affected, but even for our first responders and others that have been on the scene immediately. They also could use someone to speak to. And then for our faith-based community, spiritual care volunteers are always also in need of someone just, holding a hand, saying a prayer, just providing that, again, mental health comfort during a disaster.
Yeah, that is so important, and I love that you ended surrounding the need for mental health professionals, because so many people have been mentally impacted by disasters, having to pick up their families, worrying about their elderly parents and grandparents, just the emotional toll that takes. But second of all, just first of all, you taught me a new term, blue sky. You and Connie both said blue sky, and I figured out what it was, but I was like, I'm going to admit to one of them that I didn't know what that was until today. So thank you for the new terminology. It's a beautiful visual, blue sky. When everything is wonderful, what are we doing to prepare? What are we thinking about? But bringing our consciousness to you said gray sky, right? Is it gray?
Right.
Okay. During a gray sky moment, it's so many people's instinct to get stuff out of their house. It
Right.
really is, and I know it's meaningful, and it could even be as much, waters. I remember people getting cases and cases of water, and cases of Clorox, and cases and these things that seem like every people want, but that's just not the best and most useful.
Right. And let me just say, for Solano County, we have some pretty large manufacturers in our area. So let's just use Budweiser. So during the LNU fire, Budweiser they were donating pallets of water. So just imagine, we're looking for storage for 12 pallets of water, totaling about 400 bottles. So you have that, and then you have the neighbor that has the case of water. One's not any more important than the other, but really it's a storage issue too. I never realized that until I started responding to disasters like immediately. Being in the Office of Emergency Services, there is a seat for the volunteer, for the VOAD in the center. So, you know, when we're responding to emergencies, we're in the room also. So we're knowing what the needs are, how best to dispatch volunteers, etc. So there is a place. I don't want anyone to think that volunteers are not, you know, looked upon during that time. They are. There's somebody like such as myself that sits there and hears everything. And I don't know. Jessica talked about when we needed hay for our animals during the LNU fire. You know, I was sitting next to animal services. They told me what they needed. I called Jessica. Jessica deployed Fred Love Solano. So those things do happen. But again, people were waiting for the call to see what was really needed at the time.
Right, right. Love it. Okay, and by the way, you have the commitment of Empower Solano to play that video, not just during Gray Sky, but
Blue skies too. Thank you.
Blue Sky too. So I love that video. So we will do that and put that on regular rotation. You have our commitment.
Thank you very much. And I would be remiss without saying something to our restaurant owners. We realized during the LNU fire, or I should say, I personally realized during that response time, how important our restaurants are. And we had individuals that are restaurant owners call and say, we would like to prepare a meal or provide food. And let me tell you, that was so essential because when you have firefighters deployed to the disaster, there are still firefighters that are left at your local station to basically cover service while, you know, the majority of the house is gone. And so what we were able to do, we were able to link restaurants to those. We knew, for instance, Sassoon Fire Station or Vallejo Fire Station had, you know, 6 members still there. And so restaurants would take meals to those folks so that the one thing they didn't have to think about was preparing a meal. Now, I say that to restaurant owners because those folks are not able to accept the Cape Tree 7-Up cake at their door. It needs to come from someone that has a food service license or, you know, restaurant license. So unfortunately, you cannot make your own home baked meal. But we do want to thank the restaurants that participate. For those that perhaps hadn't even thought about how they could participate in the future, that is one way they can participate.
Awesome, awesome. If there are any items that you want us to put, we're going to put that video also in our resource kit for this event. So if there's any other material that you want us to add to that.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. That would be great.
Yes, awesome. Awesome. Anything else you want to share or any parting thoughts?
No, I just want, again, you know, I find myself, someone called me the volunteer godmother the other day, and I was like, I really like that, but, you know, like the volunteer godmother of Solano County. So, but just, you know, as I said, volunteers are so critically important and essential. And I hope what you get from this conversation is not that we don't want you, we just ask that you wait to hear what we need. And I know Solano County is a county that will respond in numbers. So that isn't a concern of mine. Again, I want to thank those that have responded to disaster before. So if you're working at the fairground, taking care of the, you know, animals that were deployed to the fairground, or if you were providing essential services, translating, etc., all of that is greatly appreciated. And just know that you can visit Solano Volunteers online and social media. Solano Volunteers has a special area for individuals that are interested in volunteering just during disaster. So that is another resource area. You can go onto that page click on disaster volunteers and everything that you'll need to know is there. I also want to mention that there are opportunities for you to be trained now in preparation for disasters. So our CERT volunteers, that's an opportunity for you to receive training, and we will soon have those Solano CERT volunteer opportunities back up and trainings available. We're getting some additional instructors prepared to begin to teach that. Again, blood donations, critically essential right now, so please do that. But feel free to start looking at Solano volunteers or following us on social media so that you would know how to best respond, again, both during blue sky and gray sky moments. So thank you, Kate Patrice.
Thank you. Thank you, Rhonda. And thank you for closing out our segment today. This has been a great day with a lot of great panelists teaching us, reminding us of what we need to do surrounding emergency preparedness. And it's only fitting for you to be our final panelist and closing us out.
Well, thanks again, and thank you for the vision to be able to share this with the community. We really appreciate the work that you're doing, Empowerment Solano, and all your work around Lustos. Without you, you really are our boots on the ground with regards to helping to educate our community on disaster preparedness and response. Both are critically important, so we thank you for your service as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.